Funding for this video is brought to you in part by Atlas Coffee Club and from viewers like you. Thank you. Hi people, welcome to video, or should I say welcome to week 3 of the Read-A-THON. Cheers! If you're new to this page, hi, my name is Allie. I moved to Belgium when I was 21 to marry my now husband. I've been here figuring out my life ever since. We read books, celebrate mundanity, and balance our day-to-day alongside disability here on this channel. In last week's vlog, we managed to accumulate some points on our bingo board, which was a really great feeling. But I said at the end of the video, I'm definitely gonna try and kick it up a notch next week, assuming that my health is cooperative. And boy oh boy, is that starting today. Because in this video, we are going to be embarking in yet another 24-hour readathon challenge. A lot of folks on YouTube have done this challenge already, myself included, but we do it a little bit different around here. Since I'm someone who is super reliant on my routines, how I do this challenge is instead of seeing how many books I can read in one singular 24-hour window, I spread it across a few days, and in those days I time every single second that I am reading until I hit 24 hours total of only reading to see how many books I can read in 24 hours of actual reading. Does that make sense? Last time I managed to hit this goal in 3 days, but that was chaotic. That was not very self-care of me, and if you've been watching the past few vlogs, you know health has not been great, so we are going to take it a little bit slower and try and stretch this across 5 days, which means that each and every day I have to set aside approximately 5 hours to read, 4 hours and 48 minutes, I did the math, just for reading only. So to fuel these festivities, let's give a warm welcome to a new sponsor of this channel, which is all too fitting for this challenge, and it is Atlas Coffee Club. Now, this coffee club is a super fun and sustainable subscription service for go-go bean juice lovers, much like myself, and I assume most of you. They curate the world's best coffee and deliver freshly roasted beans or grounds straight to your door. Once upon a time, I was a barista, and I always found it so exciting to be able to taste the diverse flavor profiles of all the different coffee countries. And what's so exciting about this service is that it allows you to embark on your own flavor palette journey without having to leave the comfort of your couch. I love that this club is tailored to your perfect cup of coffee. You can choose if you like whole beans or ground, light roast or dark roast, if you use a French press or a drip machine. Each month, Atlas Coffee Club subscribers get delicious coffee and a postcard from a new country. You also receive this informative card that gives you a breakdown of the history, tasting notes, and context about what makes that bag of beans so special. The ritual of a morning cup of coffee is so important to me, and so I appreciate being able to acknowledge and learn about what's in my mug. But my personal favorite part is that you can pause, skip, or cancel your subscription at any time without any penalties. So the commitment is a lot less daunting, and you can give it a try without having to worry. So if you'd like to unlock a whole new world of coffee discovery, you can click the link in the description box below and get 50% off and free shipping when you give Atlas a tasty try. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video, Atlas Coffee Club. Thank you for the delicious beans. You will be fueling the following 24 hours of reading. Cannot thank you enough. And so now we begin. Let's decide what we will be reading first. There are genuinely too many books that I want to read right now, and I don't know where to start. I know I want to read Babel, but there are a few people in the Discord that says that it kind of drags, and it's over 500 pages, so I don't think that's the most encouraging start, even though I'm assuming it's good. Everyone likes it, but some people don't. I don't know. My mama recently texted me and told me that I had one of her favorite books, which is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I feel like since Erin Morgenstern's writing is so transportive that this would also be a great place to start, but I'm nervous because I don't really like the circus vibe. How we begin is very crucial for our success. I think what I'm going to start with, however, is As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Katow. This is a historical fiction, magical realism story that takes place in Syria. I know that our protagonist's PTSD is manifested into a little physical companion of sorts, and I've heard nothing but rave reviews. She is a little bit long, but I just have such high hopes that this is a good place to start. So let's set our timer and start reading for 24 hours. Break. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I made the right choice as far as which book to start with, because I only just read the first chapter, which is 14 pages, and my roots for the story are already so deep in the soil and hooked. I'm hooked. So our main character, Salama, lives with her sister-in-law, Layla, who's pregnant, and it's just the two of them in this house. Unless you count Kaf, K-H-A-W-F, Kaf, I think, who is the incarnation of her trauma that has manifested into this bloody man with icy blue eyes because of everything that's unfolding around her. She's describing how gray and broken the city is, how gray and broken her home is, and the characterization is already so strong despite being mere pages into the story. I care about Layla and Salama so much. This writing is already so good. Yes, strong start. So I'm going to be bouncing between reading this as my fiction book, and then I also need to dive in to our Pocket Pages read for November, which is As Long as Grass Grows. I just realized that both books start with as long as. We have As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow and As Long as Grass Grows. So this is just an extra sign that I chose the right book to start with. This is a nonfiction about the indigenous indigenous fight for environmental justice in the United States. I really enjoy reading multiple things at once, especially a fiction and a nonfiction, because depending on my mood, I can dive into one or the other. We're about 15 minutes in, so we've got a long way to go. I've been reading for a little under an hour. I'm on page 75. I want to make it abundantly obvious that I was so excited in the beginning of starting this book because of how impressed I was with the writing style. Under no circumstances am I giddy with excitement about reading this story because it is so heartbreaking. It is devastating from the first page on. I don't even know what to say. I'm actually speechless at how harrowing Salama's story is, and it's even more depressing knowing that this isn't fiction. This is real life. Like, this story is fiction, but the realities in the story, that's real life. I've got like 3 hours and 40 plus minutes to go for today, but progress has been made. Right. As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow is definitely the most traumatizing and heartbreaking book I've ever read. And there are a few reasons why. I think the first one is pretty obvious, and that is that these are things that are actually happening or have actually happened. It's historical fiction. It introduces you to the horrors and the war crimes that have unfolded in Syria. And I think the second reason that this is such a difficult read is that Koto's characters are so human and beautifully written, and their connections are just so gorgeous. You're always rooting for them. I could have read more yesterday. I finished this around 8 p.m. and I usually read before bed, but there was just so much to process and it felt like a disservice to just jump into the next story. This book is so good and so important that I would love to say that this is required reading, but of course, take care of yourself when you read this. It's a lot. I think the only thing that I disagree with, and is probably no fault to Koto, is that this is marked as magical realism, and I don't think PTSD hallucinations are magical. I think the author's note is really crucial. This story is about the ones who have no choice but to leave their home. The idea came to me when I was living in Switzerland, where when someone found out I'm Syrian, I would be met with, "Oh, Syria, what's up with that?" And I realized that people don't really know what's happening there. Syrians have barely been able to tell their stories. What the world knows are the cold, hard facts reported by the media and relayed in books. The focus is on the political parties at play, reducing Syrians, the casualties, the victims, the orphans, the displaced, to numbers. This novel delves into the human emotion behind the conflict because we are not numbers. So this is the most harrowing, the most heartbreaking, but also the most hopeful book I've ever read. I'm so impressed with Koto's abilities. I'm so impressed with her storytelling. I'm so impressed with this book, and I hope that if you can, you'll give it a read because I think it's so important. Lots of dog ears, lots of quotes, lots of underlines. So impressed. That was such a strong book to start with. Welcome to day 2. This morning I started with reading The Sprite and the Gardener, which is a super cute graphic novel about these little fairy sprites that are named after flowers. One of the sprites meets a gardener who's not very good at gardening, and they work together, and then all the sprites get together, and it is just so gorgeously illustrated and so beautifully mundane. It was exactly what I needed to start this morning. The size of this is so appropriate because Ria Brigo's art style is too astounding to be limited to an A4 sheet of paper. Look at this. Very reminiscent of Studio Ghibli. An impeccable way to start this morning. I also started reading our Pocket Pages book club book, As Long as Grass Grows. If you'd like to join us, the book club is only $1 a month. We read a new book within the first 3 weeks of every month and then discuss in a temporary Discord server in the last week of every month, so there's no way to miss out. Join us if you'd like. I've read the introduction and the first chapter of this, and it is so jam-packed with information. It's definitely a drier nonfiction, which is a little disappointing because I can tell that this is very crucial information and I wish that it were a little more accessible, but this is still a very important read, and so I'm glad we're reading it together. And also, it's like a little over 150 pages, so it's a lot less daunting despite it being a little bit more cut and dry, factual, you know what I mean. The next book we choose is very dependent on if we want to get a bingo now or later. As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow gave us a point for the cloud space. We could get a bingo if we read something for the moon prompt, which is to read a book that doesn't take place in the country you live in. So I think I want to read I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki by Beck Shea. This follows our author across a handful of days as they talk to their psychiatrist. It's broken down like an interview. I think this is a good way to start, and then we'll get our first Bloomin' bingo despite having quite a bit of points. It's another gloomy, gray, and rainy day. This morning I read for about an hour and 4 minutes, so we still have about 4 hours to go today if we want to stay on track, which we do. So let's get to it. Hello, I just had lunch and now I'm having a lunch dessert. I'm about halfway into I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki. This is translated from Korean. Our author is Korean, that's why it counts for the mood and space. It's very honest. Our author recorded her appointments with her psychiatrist and then just transcribed them for us to read raw and unfiltered. It kind of feels like I'm doing therapy myself. I'm underlining things that the psychiatrist said. There's some nuggets of wisdom in here. So it's pretty good. It's not blowing me away, but it's a very interesting medium perspective route to take. We're almost 2 hours in for today. Shooting for 5 hours, 3 minutes. Just have an even number because that's satisfying. I'm gonna finish my cookie and bounce between the two nonfictions. This has been a check-in. Okay, feeling a little burnt out from reading. Oh my god, we get it. I finished I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki at about the 3.5 hour mark. I cannot believe I've only been reading for 3.5 hours. It feels like I've been reading for 900 years. This one was okay, I suppose. It was just kind of flat. I think it's a nice concept, but then it has me questioning the honesty of a recorded therapy appointment. Is it therapy or is it authentic if both parties are performing? There are some moments where I liked what the psychiatrist had to say, and I could definitely relate to the misconstruing social situations and then falling into black and white thinking. That was pretty relatable, but overall I feel like I didn't get anything really from this. After the conversations ended, there were a few like disjointed short essays, but we just never really got to know the author despite being exposed to these raw moments. You know what I mean? But it wasn't bad. It just didn't blow me away. And it kind of maybe wasn't the best thing to read when I have to read for 5 hours today. But we got a point for the moon's face, which means we hit our first bingo. Woo! I'm a little non-fictioned out. I also read another chapter of As Long as Grass Grows. We still have like an hour and a half to read today. I'm trying to decide if I should just knock it out now or if I can trust myself and that I will read that hour tonight before bed. Hello. It is yet another gray, rainy, depressing day in good old Belgium, which is great reading weather. I'm not gonna lie, but it is terrible brain health weather. I'm going to embrace the circumstances. I have the fattest mug of tea. I am the boss. I have lit some of my favorite candles. We've got our water bottle. We've got some bookmarks. We've got a pen. We have our noise canceling headphones. And I brought a fat stack of books into the bedroom to make up for lost time. We're like 2 hours behind our goal, which isn't the end of the world, but I've just had such a hard time focusing and getting done what I want to get done. I know it's the season. We're supposed to be hibernating like the little bears in the forest, but I want to read. That's all I want to do. Why can't I do what I want to do? You know? Anyway, let's go through the TBR that I've made. The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, because it has an autistic main character. It's romance, so it should be easy to fly through, right? I also brought in Heaven by Miku Kawakami. I've read Miss Ice Sandwich by Miku Kawakami, and it's on my favorite shelf, but I haven't read anything else by this author, but it's short. I also have As Long as Grass Grows, which we are 2 chapters in. I also brought in This Was Our Pact by Ryan Andrews. This is a graphic novel about these friends following lanterns on their bikes, and it seems really pure and really cute and really magical. It'll be great. I also brought in The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, which is like a children's story picture book. Sweet themes, cute art, easy reading, but will eat up some time. I also brought in Ruth Ozeki's The Book of Form and Emptiness. I have not read anything by Ruth Ozeki, but I have 2 of her books. See, if I can fall into this one, this will eat up so much time. Look how thick she is. It's over 500 pages. It's almost 600 pages. We also have Samantha Schweblin, 7 Empty Houses. This is Schweblin's most recent release. It's a collection of short stories. This would definitely count for the water space. I have no idea what the rest of these would count for, but this one would count for the water space because Schweblin is always an author that I'm thirsty for more of. I haven't been disappointed by anything I've read by Schweblin so far. And then I brought in Can't Spell Trees Without Tea because it's a cozy fantasy, and if this is anything like Legends and Lattes, I will not be able to put it down. I think we've made a pretty good selection. What are we gonna start with? I have no idea. Cozy fantasy, anyone? Yeah. 7.5 hours into the 24-hour reading challenge. Let us reset our timer so we know exactly how much we've read today, and let's just jump into it. Alright, I'm almost 70 pages into Can't Spell Trees Without Teeth. This is basically Legends and Lattes so far, except it's not high fantasy, but it is medieval. Obviously, I don't have complete thoughts because I haven't completed the book, but the imagery seems to be a bit stronger in Legends and Lattes, which is what really transported me, but this is still cozy, easy reading, which is exactly what I need right now. That's that. Taking a quick break, I saved one of my pastries for breakfast. It's like this flaky almond thing with apricot goo. I love apricot goo. Just checking in. Cheers. I made it to page like 100 and read for a little over an hour, and then I fell asleep. So let's make some food and read more. I hit the 2-hour mark and I don't want to read anymore. I have not had the best reading luck. This book is okay, I guess. It's a lot of telling and not showing, and it's not as cozy as I need it to be. I just want something that takes me away and makes time feel like it doesn't exist. I want a book that makes me forget about my phone. This is not doing it. We are halfway. I finished this book a minute or two shy of the 4-hour mark and my phone died. Plugged in now. I swear to goodness. Oh, wow. I don't know what that sound was, but this is where we're at for today. It was fine, but let me collect my thoughts. Perhaps it is unfair to compare this to Legends and Lattes, but it is also impossible to not compare this to Legends and Lattes because it's literally the same thing. I suppose the only difference is that the sapphic couple is together from the beginning. Two women leave their past medieval adventuring lives behind to open a tea and bookshop. However, where's the tea and bookshop? There's a few mentions of it here and there, but we're not immersed in the tea and bookshop. You cannot make this the cover of your book and the whole book is going on dragon egg adventures and being hunted down by the royal guard. That's too many stakes. I'm here to do nothing. I'm here to read 3 pages of tea leaves melting into boiling water. I'm here to read an entire chapter about your new customer and which books they want to buy. I did not pick this book up for adventure. This is not cozy fantasy. This is a fantasy with some slower elements. And so I don't think I'm the best person to judge if this was a good time or a bad time because I'm just so disappointed because how dare you advertise this as such. I don't like action. Action is my least favorite part of books. Is so boring and unnecessary to me. Stuff was just happening from the get-go, and the whole time I would be thinking, can we just go back to the nice warm bookshop cafe? Please, let's just go there where it's safe and quiet and nice. And it's like 430 pages. 440 pages. It was fine, but the thing is that I'm doing a 24-hour reading challenge, and I cannot be reading books that are just fine. I need to be reading books that transport me to a new realm and make me forget that I'm reading. This took 4 hours. It felt like I read it for 12. It was fine. I'm just mad because I had such high hopes for I Want to Die, but I Want to Eat Taboki, and I had such high hopes for this one, and they were both just like, Anyway, I have like 2 hours left of this day if I want to stay on track. And I just like don't trust myself. Do I even know what books I like anymore? So let's go into sports mode and make some serious choices. Okay, here's the thing. Here's what I think I'm gonna do. I think to round out today, I'm going to read the picture books because my brain is pudding. I think I'm gonna start with The Boy, the Mole, and the Fox in the Hole because this is gonna take the least, I am in sports mode. This is serious. This is gonna take the least brain power. And then I'll be able to finish it and feel like I accomplished something. Because all of these mid books make me very much not inspired to read. And all I need is inspire right now. And then we also have This Was Our Pact because this looks cute. I feel like it's impossible to lose with this one. There's no way we can lose with this one, right? And then I think after I read these two, I will start with Uzeki's The Book of Form and Emptiness because everyone likes this one. But if this isn't good, I'm gonna be so upset because the words are really small and there are a lot of pages.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
I'm stressed out. I made a cake to cope. So let's get some cake and read because last night and this morning, I read these 2 books, and thank goodness is all I can say. I just had such a mediocre reading experience with my past 2 reads. Like, they were all right, but I wasn't terribly impressed. So to then be thrust head first into some of the most wholesome, cute, and creative stories ever, Zeus bless. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse definitely had live, laugh, love energy. But the thing is that the live, laugh, love girlies have more serotonin than I will ever have in my life. So I attempted to embrace the wisdom within these pages. It definitely reminded me of How Do You Live, which is one of my favorite books. It's not really a story. It's mostly just quotes that you would repost on Pinterest with really cute drawings, but I was here for it through and through. So this was the 5th book. And then this was our pact was so good. This was so cute. This will definitely make the favorite graphic novels list. This was impeccable. The art was so impressive. This is exactly how I want to make art. I loved the characters. I loved the story. It was just so cute. It was whimsical. It was magical. It was transportive. It was amazing. About these 2 friends growing stronger and trying to find the lanterns that float down the river during their autumn equinox, and they meet a talking bear and a bunch of other cute magical things unfold. The theme is friendship, which is the theme that I love. Let's just say that morale is boosted. I read for a little under an hour this morning, finishing up that graphic novel. And I also started Ruth Ozecki's The Book of Form and Emptiness. This book is about a little boy who starts hearing voices after the death of his dad. That's all I know, and I know that everybody likes Ruth Ozecki. This will take up a good chunk of time. Is it good enough to devour in one sitting like that though? Pardon? We hit the halfway point. That's something. For now, I'm gonna make some tea. I'm gonna light one of my favorite candles, and we're gonna get to it. Break. Hello. I've almost been reading for 3.5 hours today, so we've got about 2 hours to go. And it's not even 4 p.m. and it's already getting dark. Once again, not having the best reading day. I've read approximately 150 pages of Ruth Ozecki's The Book of Form and Emptiness. Like, this book is good, but I don't think it's super my thing, which is a little shocking because I thought for sure that it would be 100% my thing. It's just really all over the place, and it's really gorgeously written, but a lot of the times I'm asking myself, do we need this much detail about this thing? Why are we going off on this tangent? Because occasionally I will catch myself getting roots into the story, I'm starting to care, and then next thing I know, they're being ripped out and I'm being thrown in a completely different direction, which is just a little disorientating, and because of that, it is taking quite a bit of time. I could typically read 100 pages in an hour, but I can just feel my eyes glazing over as I read this book because there's so much that doesn't matter to the story, which is good and it's fine, and I can tell that that was intentional for it to be a book full of beautifully composed tangents and stuff. It's still good. I'm just not like slurping it up. I'm taking little bites. I also read another chapter of As Long as Grass Grows. I am considering also throwing in Samantha Schweblin's 7 Empty Houses, because that way I can read some of this book, and then when I feel my eyes glazing over, I can switch it up to either nonfiction or read a quick short story to kind of eat up more reading time. Hello, welcome to the final day of reading for 24 hours. Last night, between the 3 to 6+ hour mark, I got so focused on As Long as Grass Grows. Something awoke the nonfiction reading part of my brain, and I just managed to devour the final 100 pages of this book. She's annotated to the high heaven. There's dog ears out the wazoo, underlines, notes, etc. And just in time, because the Discord opens in a couple of days for this. Very satisfying. I feel like the whole chat is just gonna be, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck. And that's fair and valid. I think, like I said in the beginning, this isn't the easiest book to read if you're not a super nonfiction person. On the negative side, it's very, very dense with information, but on the positive side, it's very dense with information. Do you know Gilly Whittaker did their homework, and this is so comprehensive. And I was gonna stop around the 6 hour, 10-minute mark, but then I decided, why not? I'll read the bonus book, the extra book for our pocket pages. I Lost My Talk is a poem by Rita Jo, but then a new breath of life was breathed into it by Pauline Young, who painted these beautiful pieces to accompany each line of the poem. And then, most importantly, on the back, we have a short history history of residence school. So what a solid packet pages month. Today, funnily enough, because I got that itch last night to read, I lost my talk. We have 4 hours and 48 minutes to read today, which is the amount that I was supposed to allocate to each day. But obviously not a single day followed that exact trajectory. I believe in just shy of 5 hours, I can finish Ruth Ozecki's The Book of Form and Emptiness. And then I also have Samantha Schweblin short stories. I also haven't checked in with the bingo board like at all this whole week. So we'll do that at the very end. Yes. Okay, let's read. I'm struggling. Read about 100 pages in an hour, which is typically my pacing. I've decided to stop reading and rereading pages in this book, trying to connect with it. And I'm just gonna read it how I normally read. And if I don't know what happened, or if I struggle to connect or struggle to understand, we move on. Because there's just something not clicking. I can objectively see how beautifully written this is. I can see that, but I'm just not connecting as much as I want. Everyone that likes this book is so cool and so smart, and I want to be so cool and so smart, and I can just tell that it's not the book, it's me. There's something about me that isn't compatible with this, but I really want to be. We semi-recently got introduced to the character Slavoj, and he has some nice things to say. Most of my underlines are from that character. I don't know, but I'm gonna make some pasta. I don't know. Food time. About 3 hours left, little under 200 pages left. I'm still confused. Finished Ruth Ozecki's The Book of Form and Emptiness with about 50 minutes left. Y'all, this just wasn't for me. I tried to make the best of it. I found some quotes that I really quite liked, but I just didn't think it was worth it. Why is this almost 600 pages? I'm really disappointed because I thought that maybe this could be a new favorite. A story from a child's perspective, mental health problems, trauma, grief. That's right up my alley. But we were thrown into so many different perspectives. The pacing was painful to me, and I just couldn't connect with it. Even when I was in a beautiful moment and swept away by its prose, there was always a wall preventing me from truly connecting to the characters and what was happening. Yet another disappointment. What is happening? I really liked the first story in Samantha Schweblin's 7 Empty Houses, so we're gonna finish that now. Morale is a little bit low. Let's finish this. I just have a few pages left of this book, so I'm gonna finish this off and then let's wrap this up, shall we? And here we are, 120 hours later from the point we once began, except 24 of those 120 hours were allocated exclusively for reading. What have we learned? I suppose the main takeaway of this video is that you'll win some, you'll lose most. Am I right? Some honorable mentions include biggest disappointments. I want to die, but I want to eat tteokbokki. I really thought that this would emotionally punch me in the throat, and I more so just felt a little bit flat throughout. Also, Can't Spell Treason Without Tea maybe was a fine fantasy, but I picked it up to be cozy, and I didn't feel really cozy. And also, Ruth Ozecki's The Book of Form and Emptiness. Too much work for very little reward for me personally. The best fiction goes to As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Katow. Round of applause. Great job. Excellent book. Excellent work. If all of the books that we read for this video were even half as good as this one, oh, we would have had an exponentially better time. But alas, we can't all be Zulfa Katow. And the top nonfiction goes to, is anyone surprised? As Long as Grass Grows by Dina Gilio Whittaker. Apparently starting your book with As Long as Blank Grows is a great sign for success. And last but not least, for best graphic novel / children's fiction storybook, we have This Was Our Pact by Ryan Andrews. So good. So that's where we're at. I'm really glad I did this challenge despite quite a few of the books being duds, because one, they were really hyped books and I really wanted to get around to them, and I'm so glad that I read them. And two, you need to read books that are a little disappointing to you personally in order to find the books that outshine the rest and dropkick your soul into the netherworld. So we did it. There's one more vlog for the Bloom and Read-A-thon. We are going to take it so obnoxiously easy next week. Between reading 7 books in 7 days and then doing this 24-hour reading challenge, self-care is in our future. Thank you for tuning into this video. Thank you Atlas Coffee Club for sponsoring today's video. Friendly reminder that the link to get 50% off of your first order plus free shipping is in the description box below. And an ever extended thank you to everyone on patreon.com who make it possible for me to upload as frequently as I do. If you'd like to join the book club, get bookmarks, some downloadables, designs, etc., that is also linked in the description box below. I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you for making this my job. And as always, thank you for clicking, thank you for caring, and thank you for being nice. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!